Have you ever felt like there's a glitch in your own software? A loop running in your head that you just can't seem to escape? Well, today, we're going to explore a framework that helps us understand that exact glitch. It's called MULTICODE 4.0, and really, it's a way to deconstruct the operating system that's running inside our own minds. We're going to learn how to hack our own reality.
So let's start with a feeling I think we can all relate to. That little bug in our personal code that can sometimes send us spiraling. You know that feeling, right? When you start feeling anxious, and then you get anxious about the fact that you're anxious, or maybe you're feeling a little sad, and then you get angry at yourself for being sad in the first place. It's this meta-level anxiety that feels like a total trap. And it turns out there's actually a name for it.
The writer Mark Manson calls this the feedback loop from hell, and it's a perfect name for it. It's this vicious cycle where feeling bad about feeling bad just makes you feel even worse. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. The initial spark of sadness or anxiety isn't even the real problem. It's the endless, self-fueling loop of negativity that follows.
Okay, so how in the world do we break out of this loop? Well, to do that, we first need to understand the fundamental job of our brain, this incredible prediction engine that's running 24/7.
So it really all comes down to this one simple, powerful idea. Your brain is a prediction machine, and it absolutely hates surprises. So what it does is it's constantly building a model of the world and then making predictions based on that model. When reality doesn't quite match up with the prediction, your brain sends out what you can think of as an error signal, a little burst of chaos that it is desperate to fix. So how does your brain go about fixing these errors? It basically has two options. It can either update its model of the world, which is kind of like admitting it was wrong, or it can take action to try and change reality so that it matches its original predictions. This constant dance of predicting, sensing, and then updating is the basic algorithm of your consciousness.
And this is where it gets really, really interesting. We can translate these pretty technical cybernetic terms into things we all understand. So your generative model, that's just your worldview, your sense of identity. The sensory data, that's your experiences and emotions. And active inference, well, that's just a fancy way of saying problem solving, or maybe more accurately, taking responsibility. So think of your values as the actual lines of code that your identity runs on. Now, if your code is based on things you can't control, like what other people think of you or how many likes you get, it's going to be super unstable and just full of bugs. But if you build your code on internal values that you can control, things like honesty and vulnerability, you're going to have a much more stable and resilient system. And this is one of the first keys to hacking the system.
So if our values are what determine what our brain sees as an error, what's the biggest, most fundamental error of them all?
I mean, what is the one single error that our entire psychological operating system is designed from the ground up to avoid at all costs? Well, according to the anthropologist Ernest Becker and his terror management theory, the answer is death. The knowledge that we're all going to die is the one prediction error our brains simply cannot resolve. And so, we have built entire civilizations, religions, and cultures as a massive, elaborate defense mechanism against that terrifying reality. We deal with this existential terror by creating what Becker called immortality projects. And these are all the ways we try to extend our existence beyond our physical bodies, whether it's through a literal belief in an afterlife or by trying to create a symbolic legacy through our work, our children, or our art. So, how has this deep fear of death shaped not just our individual lives, but the entire course of human history? Let's zoom out and take a look, because our personal immortality projects, they're just one small part of a much, much bigger story. You can actually think of all of human history as a series of massive software updates, and each one was triggered by a new information technology. Language? That gave us tribes. Writing? That gave us kingdoms and nations. Digital technology created the globalized world we live in now. And now, we're right on the verge of the next big update. The basic idea here is that with each of these updates, we become more integrated, more connected. Individuals came together to form tribes. Tribes came together to form kingdoms, and now with AI and neurotechnology on the horizon, we're on the verge of becoming what some people are starting to call a global brain.
So what does all this mean for us, right here, right now? Well, it means we're not just passengers watching this all happen. We are living through the next great upgrade, and we are the ones writing the code.
And this isn't science fiction. The line between our biological cells and our digital cells is already blurring every single day. We're entering a brand new phase of human evolution, a kind of hybrid existence, where our minds and our machines are becoming one. The big question is, how do we navigate it?
And this brings us right to our toolkit for the future. First, values. As we saw, you need to run on stable code, so choose internal goals you can actually control, like honesty, not external ones you can't, like fame. Second, responsibility. You have to recognize that you are the agent here. You choose how to interpret reality and you choose how to act. That's your power. Third, terror management. You can consciously shift your immortality projects from being purely about you to contributing to the larger system. Create real value for others. And finally, adaptability. The future is going to be uncertain, so instead of fearing that error signal, learn to embrace it as an opportunity to update your model and to grow.
Ultimately, this is the most empowering idea of all. Your anxiety, your values, your deepest fears, they are not fixed. They are parameters in a system. And while we may not have written the original source code, we absolutely have the power, right now, to debug it, to rewrite it, and to decide what kind of future we want to run. We are not just living in the system, we are the architects of what it becomes.